welcome to the Blissful Badger. As I originally learned about Eldfall Chronicles, I thought, okay, it's a fantasy game. It's going to be similar to Age of Sigmar or the Old World or Warcrow, or I didn't really know anything about it. And as I heard more, I heard about Unicool, and I thought that could be an interesting thing to check out. I had never messed with that particular material before, and the talk of the unit sizes and everything like that kind of piqued the interest because, unlike Old World, I don't need 100+ models. Unlike Age of Sigmar, I don't need multiple units all over the board. And I was like, okay, I don't have a skirmish based fantasy game in my collection. So I went out looking, and I did eventually find one of the 2-player starter sets. And since I was able to find it, I figured, hey, why not pick it up and see what it was like. And so I decided I wasn't able to find the other 2-player starter set. There are 2 of these. One has the Coalition of Thenian versus Sand Kingdoms, and the other one is the Empire of Soga versus the Hellion League. And if given the opportunity between the 2, I would have probably gone with the Soga versus Hellion. But when looking at things in the US, this is not a US company, and they're still trying to get more distribution. So it's starting to get more available, but at the time there weren't very many options, so I was able to find it on a reselling the Noble Knight. But I figured, hey, why not pick up the 2-player? And I knew that the Sand Kingdoms also had the opportunity to summon in earthen creatures, so I picked that up. And I figured that was a great way to start, but I was still wanting to get the Soga eventually. And before I had the opportunity to open this, they received the original 4-player box. And this is a pretty large box, you can see. I had to zoom out for this. But this was a limited edition starting box, and I want to see what's inside of this and this, because this is more likely to be what you can find these days. Fun thing is that the Coalition of Thenian and the Sand Kingdoms in this box should be the same as in this box. So it just happened to be the timing of when this came available, and the game does say that you can use 2 of for 3 of the Sand Kingdoms in here, so there shouldn't be that much unusable in here. So I was able to find the original 4-player starter, and this has a limited edition Colossus model in it. And even though I already had the 2-player Thenian versus Sand Kingdoms, I figured this was a good purchase. And because of how I purchased it, this was actually less expensive to find than the other 2-player starter at the time. So, yep, buying 4-player starter instead of a second 2-player starter actually less expensive. sometimes the deals are interesting. So I'm going to open both of these and we'll see how the different sets compare and contrast. So let me get to opening this. Little knife. Alright. No longer a sealed box. Alright. Eldfall Chronicles is an immersive skirmish tabletop wargame played with miniatures. Players take simultaneous turns moving models across the playing field, striving to beat the opponent, be that the other player or the game itself. Again, this is a skirmish miniatures wargame, and you can run it as one player. You can play it as multiplayer. You can do co-op or competitive. And there's the Eldfall Chronicles Northern Winds role-playing board as well. All of these models are available to be run in that, and those are able to be run in the game. And just overall, I wanted to try something that there's only 4 models per faction here, and there are a few that have come out since then, but the offering all of those different modes of play with a smaller selection of models, especially with the detail that these are available in, they looked like a very fun painting challenge. And being able to play so many different ways with the same rule set seemed like a great idea. And as I heard more about the game, I realized that I already had picked up some Infinity models, and I really like the metal nature of Infinity. And I was hesitant with Warcrow because it was COcast, and I had heard pretty negative things about it, and I already don't really enjoy resin minis, but when I heard about Unicool, I was willing to give it a chance. I had seen enough comparisons between the two resins, and I was willing to try it out. Warcrow also is still a multiple unit game, and I already have Age of Sigmar and a multi-fantasy agnostic Chaos Dwarf army. So I didn't really need another larger scale game. But Eldfall Chronicles had similar rule set to Infinity with a d20 system, and with it being a skirmish game, it wouldn't be too much to buy into. Alright, so this box contains everything you need to play. It has 4 faction boxes with 16 unique miniatures. It has cardboard scenery set, which is also pretty cool. It has a Colossus miniature, version 1, limited edition. Yeah. 4 area of effect templates, the printed core rulebook, measuring tools, a bunch of dice and tokens, some proxy tokens and profile cards. So just, yeah, it's a box of everything for the game. So, alright. Alright, so cards. We all know we're going for the models here, but Book is nice color, good size. The Known World. Nice map. One-sided, so you don't have to lose anything if you put it up somewhere. But yeah. Okay. A gaming map. Gaming mat. Also printed, but decent. Alright. Aha. We have the Colossus. We have the dice. Those are interesting marbled effect. Pretty cool. And then we have the different factions in their own little boxes. Which is pretty nice. I like the way that these are packaged. And then we have 7. Yep, I can count. Stacks of cardboard for all of the different area of effect and terrain and tokens and all that stuff. So I'll have to get this built up, but that's a pretty good amount of cardboard. So the mat and the map are really nice. Let's get to the miniatures. So this is the Colossus. I have not glued it together. I just placed the models where they need to go, the bits. And again, other than the tail that has a slightly downward, movement, this is just placed. It took, what, a few moments? Not bad. But This model is as large as my hand, and it's not very many pieces. Like, there's the body that has one little piece that needs to be cleaned up right here. Like, that's going to be a nice detail to paint. And the fact that it just has 3 little pegs to put the feet into, that's not bad. Tiny, tiny little bit of cleanup right there. Like, not even much, but yeah, this is nice. Right, so the Sand Kingdoms box. If I open it up, it has 4 models and 4 profile cards. Alright. And again, other than the limit 1 of here, each of these have limit 2. So these are the normal people, and that's the leader. So having 2 of each of these is not a problem at all to have different list building options. And they have 4 minis. So, what does this starter set have? Well, it has a water elemental instead of a colossus, but it should have the same models inside. This also has rulebook and d20s and tokens. So let's open this and see what is actually inside. This is a nice box. Alright, so we have a core rulebook. We have a smaller set of tokens. We have a smaller set of cardboard tokens. This has 3 half-size pieces. We have the water elemental. We have 2 each of the marbled dice. We have the cards. We have a cool little insert. And then we have the Sand Kingdoms faction starter and the Coalition of Thenian faction starter. And if we pull the other one over, it is slightly different printing, but it's the same barcode. And Thenian, also the same. And other than the slightly different cardboard, Okay. It should have the same miniatures. So, pretty cool. So I'm gonna get to building all of these. Because there's a lot of cool miniatures here, and I want to see what they look like built. So, based on previous experience with Unicool, it shouldn't take me more than an hour or two to build all of these minis. So, I'll do that real quick and get back with you. Well, there we have it. Everything is built and primed, and that just means that the longest part of the process is still to come. I want to paint these up nice, and that's going to take some time. So, I hope this was a good overview of Eldfall Chronicles and the models within, and hopefully I can bring you some painted models in the future, and maybe even some gameplay. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to all of this. There's so many cool details, and they're going to take some time to paint. Probably put a good 2 or 3 hours into each of these, maybe even more, being that some of these are massive. But they are ready for that step now. So I'm going to go and get working on those. Subscribe if you haven't, so that you don't miss any future videos. I also want to thank my patrons and supporters for making these videos possible. And until next time, I hope you find your bit of bliss.